All right. I have very interesting statistics here that 15% of employed Kenyans in this country actually suffer from a mental disorder, at least one mental disorder. And unfortunately, 75% of this population is not able to afford, counseling services or that kind of thing, help basically. Today, I get to sit with a very interesting woman and kind person from what I've seen called Psychologist Jennifer. I'll let her introduce herself and, tell people who you are.
Thank you very much. My name is Jennifer. I am a psychologist, and I'm glad to be here. And we are going to check on and see why we have these percentages that is quite high. 15 is not small, it's quite a big percentage. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Jennifer, I think we can start from the type of mental disorders we have. Because when you say, at least 15% of us have mental disorders of some types, I mean, what are we talking about? Is it depression? Is it, what mental disorders do we have?
Well, our mental disorders are divided into categories, and we have two world bodies that have done it. One is done by the World Health Organization, and the other one is done by the APA, American Psychological Association. So when I was looking at the two, I found like the one that is done by the WHO, the World Health Organization, is a bit easier because it's a cluster that has about 8, and I can mention them so that we can know when you talk about the 15%, what we are talking about. It's talking about how we divide them and bring them out into groupings that are brought out by categories of characteristics. And one of them in the category where we have the one they are calling the organic disorders, which are when you have brain damages and the diseases of the brain. Sometimes we get accidents and we have the brain damages and someone gets into a coma and they are there for a long time. And the diseases like dementia. Remember, as people grow older, we have the dementia. It's a very, very, very common disease where people lose their memory. And I think it's about degrading of the brain. It's like shutting down the parts of the brain slowly by slowly. And we have the second one, which is the psychotic disorders, which are distorted. They are characterized by the distorted thinking and perception. That someone would be at a place, they're speaking to themselves, they're not connected with us, they're not doing the obvious things that we do, like bathing or even eating or even living in a home, like schizophrenia. Then the third one is the mood disorders, which are also called the affective, where we have people changing their moods. Sometimes you find an ordinary person is supposed to regulate the mood naturally from their brain. So when we have the activities that are bringing happiness, they can be happy. When you have sad episodes, they can be sad, but at times they can be able to make a decision. This is how I want to feel. But then when it comes to the mood and the affective disorders, you cannot be able to do that. Like the depression, this is where someone sinks in everything. And we have the bipolar, where we have the two, where we have the depressive mode and we have the maniac. So they cannot control them. The brain of that person cannot control. The fourth one is the neurotic, and this is where we have the anxiety disorders, where there is a lot of fear and they are worrying so much, and they feel like they cannot interact with themselves or with other people or even the environment in a healthy way because they are very anxious, like the phobias. We have people who fear water, the aquaphobia. We have others who fear heights. They cannot get into lift and go up a certain building, and you never know where this would have come from. But if you'd explore, we'd know where the causes are. And we have the OCD, the obsessive compulsive disorder, where someone is just obsessed about something, for example, cleanliness or being orderly. So they are obsessed with it, and they cannot keep still when they think that things are not in order. So they have to go and arrange and make sure that things are put in order so that at least they can even sleep. So this person can be at a place where they can't function properly, because when they think that there is some dirt somewhere, and it is at night, at midnight, or even at 4 a.m. in the morning, they wake up and they'll go and clean. If they think that their kitchen is not well arranged, they also others will take a lot of, they'll invest in making sure that they have storage containers where they can so that they can just be perfectly arranging things when they have the OCD. The fifth one is the personality disorders, where we have there are patterns that are very they are maladaptive patterns, where you find that these people sometimes they become very antisocial. They're at a place where they can't go to places where there are very many people. They get so overwhelmed. They can't attend occasions. They always want to be alone. They are loners, and they do things and they feel okay. And when you tell them to go out there, you find them building some anxieties. So which is also it's very common with people. And so you can imagine if they have to work in an office, and this is the kind of a personality, the disorder that they have, they will either not come to work, or they would always prefer to work from home. And so their social capital is very small. Their social interaction with other people is very, very limited. Then we have the substance abuse, where we have the misuse of sometimes medical drugs, the medications, and sometimes they go even beyond, where they take some other hard drugs, like maybe they have cocaine, they have heroin. Other times they will also even take mad drugs. And so they don't only limit themselves to them. Some don't only limit themselves to the medical drugs, they also go to the hard drugs. And even alcohol, where we find that now they're at a place where they get to addictions, and they can no longer be able to control the usage of these substances. And you can now see this one could be mostly they only come, these mental disorders of the substance disorders, you only get them once you interact maybe with the alcohol and even the drugs. So it is something that someone gets to have them. But maybe for the personality, the mood disorder, sometimes you don't self-harm yourself. They come naturally, just the way we get other sicknesses. But now with the substance, it is something that we have introduced to our foreign things that we have introduced to our bodies. Then we have the developmental disorders, which they appear in young age, early stages of life, maybe during the birth, or even when they were being formed in their mother's womb. Some of them could be autism, maybe there are other factors that were affecting. ADHD is also another disorder, and you find that these children will be born, and we are able to see that this child has a problem, and sometimes even later in life is when they are diagnosed, but they are born with them. Yes, and sometimes even during birth. Yes, so that was the simplest way to classify them, so that you can now when you look across, you can see that there's so many people in our society who could be coming into
having a couple of these disorders. That's very beautiful. It will be interesting to know if these diseases or these disorders are genetic. Are they hereditary based on your genes? Does that contribute? Like, for example, I know my paternal granddad had dementia. Do I have, do I stand a chance of maybe suffering from dementia one day?
Like when we are doing psychological testing, or even when we are doing psychological therapy, like I said, I'm a psychologist, you find that when someone comes and we suspect, because for me, the first thing I'll suspect, because I have gone through all these disorders, so at least I can pick on something. Some of the questions that we ask is about who in your family has had this. So as you say, some of them are genetical, and you find that they're coming into our lives not because there's something that we have done, but it is because they are in our family line. But now there are factors maybe in the environment that triggers. So that could be something that is very dominant in your genes, but now something triggers. So as you talk about dementia, sometimes dementia can be triggered by not dealing with the traumas of childhood. Yeah. So you can imagine it could be it's not dominant in your genes, but it is there. But once you have traumas later, and then now you never deal with the traumas, so they later it comes out because that is a reaction that will come out when you are older, far much older, in old age. And you see now it can be connected, and then people will be like, oh, she has dementia just like her dad. Sometimes you find there are people who are schizophrenic, and you hear there's a family line, people their uncle had the same, so it can be connected to the genes.
Okay. And if you realize maybe you've had this pattern, your family has this pattern, if say I start seeking therapy or start seeing a psychiatrist early enough, is it possible for me to avoid?
Yes, because one, remember as I've said, when we have other things that have happened in our lives and we never dealt with them.
Yeah.
Like, for example, look at the childhood traumas that children have at home, and sometimes it's just some things that we never thought. Maybe we lived in a place where there was a lot of darkness, and every time the lights went off, it was total darkness. That would be something that is very traumatizing for a child. Other times it's the abuse that they got. It could have been physical abuse, sexual abuse, or even verbal abuse as they grew up as children. So as they go on and they never dealt with what they felt about it, now this one can later in life, when they are in their teenage or their young adulthood, they can have their mental illnesses. Something else, when we find that our children as they grow up, we are not giving them the love that they need, the warmth that they need as children, they feel abandoned. So what happens later in life? They get to a place where they are like, either because I did not get enough love, I felt abandoned, I am not happy, I am angry. So later they think that getting to control other people is going to help them fill the gap. Remember, all these things are very unconscious.
Yeah.
They're not doing it intentionally. They're not waking up one day and say, I am going to be this kind of a person, but it's because of how they feel. So when we look at those things that are happening to our children, later in life, they can bring the mental illnesses.
Okay.
Yes.
Ah, beautiful. Let's go to suicide before we play a small game here. So it is said that in Kenya, we experience at least 4 suicidal deaths in a day, per day, according to the 2024 statistics. These suicides, what is the demographic that is most affected? And there's a question I asked you before this interview, pre-interview, as we were preparing, and I asked you, do you think this generation of young people right now, do we have a weak generation, or do we just have a very self-aware generation?
Well, before I get to the demographic, maybe I'll just react to what you have just said. And I remember I said a yes or no, and I gave some few factors, and one of them was, we are looking at a generation that came from somewhere. I'm an educationist, so I taught at one time, and I remember when I was teaching a class 2, we were teaching about our rights as children, child's rights, but we never got to the place of, these are our rights. How far can we bring our rights? I have right to express myself. How far do I express myself? And what are the other factors that I need to consider as I express myself? So we needed to tell them, you can express yourself fine, but remember, you're expressing yourself to an adult who has more knowledge, who has more experience, who can guide you. So what we did is left it at that. So what they have been doing is expressing themselves in all ways, without now having the knowledge of all what we are doing, their consequences. So they push their agenda because I was told when I was a little child by my teacher that I can do it. So that is one of the things that made them be where they are. But the other good thing is because even with that, they have a wide scope of knowledge. So even bringing on board more knowledge about these are the values, these are the virtues that you need to have. This is how you respect the elderly. This is how you bring out your statements. You know, the language that I speak, I don't use a lot of force. I can have a conversation. This is how I can do it. I tell them how I feel about it. You know, that is, those are the good news that we can be able to redeem them. We can be able to bring them on board and always have a conversation. So that at least now we can make them the healthy adults that we need to have. So that we can listen to them, they can listen to us, and we can guide them. Let me get to the demographic. So interestingly, I want to talk about different clusters, and you're going to see that it is in every part of the world that is affected. You know, sometimes you might be thinking that is only maybe our village that we have so many people going through this, but we are going to find out. Now, the first one is about the age. The most affected people in terms of age are the adolescents and the young adults.
Okay.
Because the teenagers and the young adults are going through a lot in terms
Young
of
adults ranging between 18 and 24?
Yes. Okay. Let me sorry for that. The adolescents and teenagers are between, we are pushing it to 10 because our children are really maturing quite fast, up to 18 years. Now, after 18 years to 27, 28, we have the young adults.
Okay.
So when we talk about our teenagers and our adolescents, remember there is peer pressure. So I will do what the others are doing because I want to belong as a teenager. So what happens is, because they have had others are doing it as a solution, I'll quote to quote, solution to their problem. Because when I kill myself, when I commit suicide, see, that is gone. I am done. I've done away with my problem. My friends did that, and the family mourned for a short time and life went on. So even for me, they will do the same. So that peer pressure can make them do that. The other one is these children are coming from families that are very dysfunctional. And because of the dysfunctionalities in the families, there are a lot of traumas, there are a lot of nasty experiences, and now they start developing mental illnesses. And some of them, as I have put them in the cluster, we might not even know. Sometimes the symptoms that are coming out, maybe they could be very mild. So this teenager or this young adult is at a place where they are quietly just getting the suicidal ideations, and then the next thing they execute the suicide. Sometimes they also struggling with identity. They have identity crisis. Like now in teenage, a teenager would want to know why you call them this name and not the other. They're trying to get the identity. Another one will be, whom do I look like? I don't know whether I look like my mom or my dad. They always, my family are always telling me that, I don't know, you don't look like your mom, you don't look like your dad. And then others are, why are you taller than your mom? Why are you shorter than, you know? All the others are even body shaming these teenagers. And we never know how this child is going to take this. So sometimes when they are demeaned, they feel like, I think I would rather be dead. Let me just do away. This is not a family to live with, or this is not an environment where to be with. And now for the older people, remember I talked about age. People who are 65 plus are also prone to suicide in terms of age, because one, they are killed by loneliness. Remember, some of them, if they had partners, some of them could be dead. So loneliness will kill them, because they are at 55, I might not be able to start another family. If my spouse died when I was about 50, I would have married someone else, but at 65, they feel like they cannot. We have diseases for the elderly, and depression is one of them. So depression can also, because most of the times when people are depressed, they get themselves to that place where they think that they can end their life as a solution to their problem. Others are, I have hypertension, I have diabetes, maybe they have developed some cancers. You know, they're looking at the health issues that are in their bodies, and even looking at, I cannot do things for myself the way I used to do them when I was younger. So out of the desperation and out of the many health issues, they can also have their suicidal ideations.
Okay, I'd be interested to know, as a psychologist,
Yes.
do you approve of the mercy killing? What's it called? I really struggle with pronouncing that word. Where you can, if say I'm suffering from cancer, I can decide, no, let me just get a jab and die and rest peacefully instead of going and, seeking medication, knowing or what someone might think that eventually you're going to die anyway.
Well, I'm really looking at that in a very wide way, because when you think of someone wanting to end their life, it is also important to ask yourself and even bring it as a reality to them. Whose life is this we are talking about? Who created you? Because I believe in every human being we have a higher power, a power that rules us. Spirituality now comes in, so that I can now be able to say that I can end this life. I need to ask myself, who, how much control do I have? If I didn't have control in creating it, why should I be ending it? So can we wait? Can I wait for what are those other ways? Remember, we have, even when we find that people are in terminal illnesses, almost getting to the end of their life, because that is the last stage in life. Even as I went to class, we were learning about this, the last stage in life. We need to realize that there are ways of keeping them, giving them palliative care, making sure that they're comfortable, they have less pain. So that is the information that I would bring forth to the sick person, and even to the family, and even to the medical people, now, so that we can reason. I'm reasoning out in what is the spirituality in this.
Yeah.
What do we have other alternative to keep this person, so that they can, and then can we be able to bring the reality to the sick person, so that they cannot be wanting to end their life. Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
beautiful. So we asked you to ask psychologist Jennifer questions of things you're going through or things you are curious, about. You've probably seen us on social media, and you'd like to know how to handle those situations better. And you did. We have the questions here, psychologist. Tuko na maswali hapa, so you'll just be picking a paper, reading the question aloud, and answering the question.
Okay.
I don't know how much time we have. I don't think we'll be able to answer all, but let's see.
Okay. Let me read one. A committed Christian, Mboro says he's struggling with gay porno and is asking for help, but before that, is sexual orientation a choice? Wow. This is a very, very, very important question, because this is something that has come up with the developments that are happening in the world, where you find that today people would really want to an identity, not only in terms of names, but in terms of even gender, and they are very keen on what is this that you're bringing on. Now, this is a committed Christian, and with a committed Christian, we need to know, what does the Bible talk about the gender that we have. So I'll just speak about the biblical perspective, because this is a Christian, and then I will also now talk about where this would be coming from, that now today we are looking at the world with the eye of, why are we asking this question that we never asked there before. Now, as a committed Christian, Mboro, it is important to know that, one, when you are a Christian, we go to the book of Genesis, where we have God created male and female. So if you are a man, you are male. When you're female, when you are a woman, you're female. So it is important to know that from there, you have the gender part of you, and you can now look at the conflicting part of you, being getting to struggling with being gay and pornographic materials. So it is important to know that that does not define who you are. What has happened is, you could be having things that have happened in your life, and they have made you get to where you are. Remember when I was talking about suicide, we have talked about age. being a part of the where people are finding themselves. So even here, we can find that when it comes to sexual orientation, sometimes age is also. Why? Because there are people who are in their teenage who are exploring. And when they are exploring, they find themselves getting to be gay. Now, what happens? Even as they go to young adulthood in their 20s, they still carry this behavior to young adulthood because they never got guidance. But peer pressure in teenage affected that. So when I say that this does not define you, I mean that could you be coming from the peer pressure that is where you are gay? Or are you coming from you are out there to adventure? Because there's a lot of development that has happened, there's a lot of technology, there's so many things that you can see. So maybe you found yourself adventuring, but now something happened. Slowly by slowly, because we never get addicted to something in one day. It is because you are interacting with this thing again and again, several times, and you find now your brain is now getting to being used to it. Then at one point, as you're growing older and you are maturing, you are sitting down and asking yourself, wait, what is this that I am doing that is not appropriate? So this is where you start now judging yourself. So as a Christian, you're judging yourself maybe because of the age that you are in today, although you have not indicated your age. But then again, look at as a Christian, you're also judging yourself from the spirituality part. Am I male? Am I female? Because the Bible says so. So maybe, Mboro, what you'd want to know is, and from a counselor's perspective, is if you have a counselor near you, please go for counseling so that they can help you get deeper into your life and know what is this that made you get to where you are. So that now from there, you'll be able to get to having options and having ways of dropping this and becoming an unhealthy behavior so that you can pick behaviors that are healthy that you're going to enjoy in life. Yes.
Okay, it's very interesting.
Yes.
I'd like to know, say, as a parent who has Amboro, who's called Mboro, Amboro in the house, what will you advise this parent?
I'm looking at this as a parent because when I look at this, I'm looking at Mboro who could be mostly a young adult in their 20s. So this could be a Gen Z or a very late millennial, an early millennial. Now, that is a parent who is coming from Gen X. That is where this parent is coming from. Now, when Gen X parents find themselves with the children who are in this sex orientation, the first thing they have is a shock. Remember, for them, this is something new. It never happened in those ages. So first they get the shock. Before they internalize, they judge themselves. They start asking themselves why they did not see this coming and what is this they can do to help their children. The society is also judging them. As a parent, they're pointing a finger at you and they're like, why didn't you guide your child in the right way?
Yeah.
So we need to know that parent is really suffering. They also need someone to walk their journey, a therapist who can be able to tell them, now let's sit and talk about this. Because as I said at the beginning, this does not define who you are.
Yes.
Because there are so many factors that are bringing you to be this at a certain place. And you can now see that this is something that is not comfortable. So even those parents, they should come on board and speak to a therapist. They should look for a counselor who can be able to help them negotiate the journey and now see how they can help their children, like Mboro.
Nice.
Yes.
Okay. As you're opening the next question, I'm told time is not on our side. Maybe you can tell us: is sexual perversion a mental disorder? I had you mention substance abuse. I'm not so sure about sexual perversion.
Okay. It can, remember, when we have, just as I said, when we get to extreme of doing things or introducing things to our bodies and we are not able to drop them, then it becomes an addiction.
Okay.
So sex can also be an addiction.
Yeah.
Because it depends. And I remember what I have said, it could have started with exploration in teenage. It could have started with discovery in teenage and wanting just to know more. It could have started with peer pressure that they are doing this. I have clients coming to my office who are high schoolers and they are a gang. And what they started doing, they have been masturbating. And every time they call each other over the holidays. And they are like, how many times have you gone? In fact, they were telling me they don't call it masturbation anymore. They call it sessions. So they'll ask themselves, how many sessions have you had? So they went with the same behavior to school because now you can see they have been doing it again and again. So their brain now is getting used to, this is something that I must do. Yes.
What's interesting times we live in.
Okay. Wanjiko has been in a long-term relationship with her campus boyfriend who has been struggling to secure employment for 2 years. A successful profession at a top-tier market firm, she feels burdened by being the sole provider, covering rent, shopping, dates, and vacations. Meanwhile, her best friend is dating a man who, though inconsistent in communication, frequently spoils her with lavish gifts, including a 6 million shillings car. Should Wanjiko explore other relationship options or stay in her current one? Hey, this is very interesting. And I'm looking at a girl who is mostly now, she's a young adult. And look at where she is with a man who she feels does not provide for her. But then she's comparing herself with her friend whose man provides for her, but he's also having some negative things that are happening. He's not there for her, but she gets the money, she gets the car, the good car. So Wajiko is the one who is doing this on the other end. Now we need to sit and know, where is Wanjiko coming from? That now she's the one providing in this relationship. How did she find herself in this relationship with this man who is now jobless? What was modeled about provision to her as she grew up from her family of origin? So that, and then again, what is this that brought them together as a couple, her, Wanjiko and her boyfriend? Because we need to know, was it that they were they came in, not that they were attracted to each other. They came in because they had something they were doing in common, which I would call a project. Would it be they were in the same campus and they felt like living together, they were going to share the basics, and then they found themselves there. And then at one point, she found herself rising. But then again, she also needs to ask herself, even if this man is not providing financially, we have other provisions in marriage. Security is one of them. We have a man providing his own time. We can have someone coming in and providing a lot of warmth, a lot of love. So she also needs to sit down and ask herself, what did she want in life, in a marriage partner? So that she can now see, before she compares herself with her friend who is now getting the finances. Because even now, the friend also needs to sit and ask herself, what is this that she is not getting? What is this that is replacing the peace? Because she might not be at peace, but she has the money. So there's so many factors. And sometimes you are not able to explore that alone. That is where we encourage people to go for counseling. Yes, we have so many psychologists today in the whole country. We can be able to do virtual therapy, we can do physical, we can be able to have those conversations with the experts. Please get an expert who can. So I would urge Wanjiko to seek therapy and even advise her friend to go for therapy. Because as her friend gets the gifts, you never know, she could be dating this man because of his money, or she could be dating this man because he's older than her, and that is why he has more money. She could be having daddy issues. Did she have a good relationship with her father as she grew up? So that's why I'm saying an expert needs to come in.
Wow.
Yes.
I think we'll just end it at Wanjiko. It's beautiful that you've talked about daddy issues, because that has become an insult on social media nowadays. You do something, you're told you have daddy issues. So Wanjiko, you can have a man provide warmth, or what else?
Security.
Security.
Yes, and authority.
In today's world, I'm not so sure people are very interested in that because tunauliza tutakula warmth ama mapenzi. That has been Psychologist Jennifer. Thank you so much for coming. We are certainly going to put your socials on your on the screen, and people can figure out how they will reach you. I hope you have picked a thing or two. Tell us what has really resonated with you. Until next time, my name is Gashambi Dewitu.